Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 25 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Last episode I had a bit of fun making a nifty quarry. Now it's way off in that direction, so I don't feel like running out there right now to get it shown to you guys, but I do want to make sure you're aware of it and how it works and all that cool stuff, and I want to make sure that we work on this episode and get this thing automated, at least to a point. So right now, we've got a chest out there that's just sitting there collecting resources, and we've got a tank nice and full of the rocket fuel that we've been producing. Speaking of rocket fuel, I need a little bit more redstone and gunpowder to start making more of that stuff. But what I'm going to need to do... Oh man, I'm so low on redstone. I should probably go mine some. What I'm going to need to do this episode, I could also check my quarry and see if there's any there. Maybe I will go for a quick run. Automate everything. So I want to get it so that we can quickly get resources to and from my quarry. So I want to get the items that the quarry is collecting back to my main base. And I would also like to be able to get the liquids, the rocket fuel, the fuel source for this thing back out here from my main base. So that's kind of the plan. Let's see how things are doing. I know it's around here somewhere. There it is. Hey there, buddy. Found any redstone for me yet? I would hope so after all this mining. Look at that. Nice. Got a good amount going on here. Still running, I presume? Let's see. Yeah, you're definitely still going. It does require lots of power to keep this thing running at full time. I might need another combustion generator or two, but just 9 redstone. Curses. Well, that's not a terrible haul. One thing I would also like to do is not only be able to transport the liquids and the items around, but I wouldn't mind a way for me, the player, to be able to get to and from this thing. So I think I'm going to work on that today, and that's going to be all the same build. All one set of stuff. So I'm going to head back to my base, maybe just go downstairs and manually mine a little bit just to get a handful more redstone, because I might need some. And then we'll be back when it's time to have some fun building a nifty contraption to get me, items, and liquids to and from that nifty place. Alright guys, so there's several things we're going to need to get this whole crazy build going. And I'm going to be honest with you early on and let you know that is this the most efficient way to do this build? Absolutely not. I'm going to have a little bit of fun with it, and it's going to be a little bit more of a, neat, fun build, more so than the most efficient way. The most efficient way, probably just use ender tanks and ender chests and you're done, right? Like, that's alright, but it's not super fun. But we're definitely going to look into doing this a more interesting and fun way, using a couple different mods that should hopefully make this more enjoyable. One of the first things we're going to need is to soul bind a vibrant crystal with a soul vial. I'm going to use the player's experience here. I happen to have 10 levels on me. We'll let this run through, and I'm going to go ahead and actually need 2 of these guys, and then I'm going to need 2 more Enderman souls. So it's still nighttime out, I think. Yep. So I'm going to go outside with these soul vials again and go and get some more stuff, because I'm going to need 2 more Enderman souls before this game is over. Cool. So let's see, are you done cooking? Can I have my soul vial back? Thank you. Gotta go find some Endermen. Any on the map? Not immediately nearby, but I'll find some. Alright guys, time to play with a bit of railcraft. So the first thing we're going to need to make are some tracks. Tracks recipe, even just the vanilla tracks, has changed. Almost all tracks in the game are going to require some kind of rail and some kind of rail bed. Now the standard things that you're going to want to make wooden rail beds, which require wooden ties, which are some slabs of any kind of wood and a bottle of creosote oil. Okay, so that's pretty much the best way to make it. You can also make it in the carpenters from forestry, which gives you like a little bit less of a cost in terms of creosote oil. It does also slow down the crafting process because you have to wait for it to craft each one. So it's kind of a toss-up. If you're low on creosote, it might not be a bad idea to go through and make it. I'm doing all right. I'm on my second stack of coal here. You can see we've got quite a bit, like 35, buckets worth of creosote oil. So to get this thing cruising, I'm going to need something along these lines. Glass bottles. Cool. And I'm going to go ahead and get some bottles of creosote oil. Just drop your bottle into the coke oven and it'll quickly transfer all the creosote oil that you've produced into a creosote bottle for you. Hooray! They stack 16 at a time, so I'm going to get 2 sets of 16. Not too shabby. And then we're going to need some wood. Luckily, I don't really have much of a problem with wood at the moment. Doing just fine with that stuff. And we're going to want to get ourselves, like, maybe... We'll see if this is enough for now. Wooden ties. And I'm going to convert those into wooden rail beds, and now I can make some tracks. So the other component that we're going to need are standard rails. So to get this, we're just going to need to put some kind of metal into a rolling machine. Iron's a pretty good bet. You can also use steel, but we don't really have a good production of steel just yet. So go ahead and grab yourself a handful of iron, which I'm doing all right on now. Hooray, after going mining for a bit. And we should see in the rolling machine, all we have to do is run it through this thing like so. Cool. And we should get a decent amount. I'm not going to have it, and you'll notice that it actually auto balances the amount, so that's kind of neat. I'm going to let it get like a decent amount of standard rails for us. We're also going to need a detector track, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But for now, we're going to let these rails cook, and I'm going to make my first set of tracks, which is simply one wooden rail bed. Now, the good news about this is you do get a half stack of tracks for each of these operations, so it's really not that expensive in terms of materials and whatnot. We're going to want a detector track, which is going to need a pressure plate and a bit of redstone. I'm just going to grab a handful of this stuff. I should really start upgrading my storage again. And we should be able to get one of these. Cool. The reason I want the detector track is because I want to make an ender rail, which needs a soul vial of enderman. Hey, big surprise. It also needs 100,000 RF, so we should get these things cooking right now. So let's go ahead and get the soul binder cooking with a detector track and a soul vial. I'll give it 10 levels of experience, which I do not have. So let's just snag... There we go, 10 levels, and use player's experience. Cool. While that's going, I'm going to grab another 10 levels because it looks like that's actually going to run pretty quickly. I'm liking this little experience bank thing. There we go. These will allow you to teleport rails, but in order for them to work, they need to be sitting on top of a dimensional transceiver, which requires an ender crystal each. Hey, good thing I made 2 ender crystals, right? So we're going to need a dimensional transceiver on either side, one in our base and one over at the quarry. We're also going to need a couple slice and splicers for some of these things. So we're going to need 2 more vibrant alloys and some solarium. Let me cook up these items and we'll be back. So 2 of these, 2 of you, 2 of you, getting low on ender pearls yet again. I really need to get an enderman farm going. And you can go here, here. All right, alloy mode. 2, 2, and I forgot glowstone. Alright, back in a minute once I'm ready to put this thing together. Alright guys, I think I managed to make everything I need for this. Nice. Dimensional transceiver times 2. Now these guys are similar to tesseracts, and if we really want to talk about like what would be a very simple and kind of boring way to make this build, is we could just use these guys to transport our liquids and our items to and from the quarry, because they can transfer liquids and items all through the ender conduit stuff, so we could do whatever we want. We could even transfer our power right from the base here, and we wouldn't even need to power the thing out there. But like I said, I'm having fun with this build, so I want to do something interesting and neat. I don't want to just do like a standard old boring, like let's hook it up and let it run and behind the scenes not even make anything fun. This is supposed to be a fun build for me, so that's what we're doing. Alright, so let's map out exactly how we want this to work. How exactly would that be? So basically the dimensional transceiver and the ender rails will have to work together to get us what we want. Let's see what we can do. Alright guys, so there's a couple things we're going to need here just to kind of get ourselves going. One thing I'm going to need is power, and I'm trying to decide how I want to run my power line over there. I might want to just run it under the floor. So why don't I switch into bat mode real quick? That should make things a little bit easier. And we will sneak underground, maybe like right across here. Whoops. That's a little bit better. What did I have? Dirt here? And the sugar cane, right? Okay. So running straight across here. Are we through on the other side yet? Ah, perfect. Probably going to want to start right about here, actually. So this is where I'm going to place my dimensional transceiver. Now, in order for these things to operate, the dimensional transceivers, they do require power. So that's why I've got some energy conduits here. We're going to make sure this thing is connected at all times to our main base's power system. Otherwise, it just won't work. Let's see, where's a wrench? One tricky thing about bat mode is sometimes it's a nuisance. There we go, and I should be able to tap right into my power line that's over here. Oh, I need just a few more conduits. I think I need like 2 more conduits. That's alright, I have more iron cooking upstairs. This and this should get me going. Cool. And then while I'm up here, I can clean up my inventory anyway, because it's getting a little full. Auto sorting is pretty much the best thing ever. There we go, power. Now if we head back over to our dimensional transceiver, we should see it's powered because it's got purple awesome effects inside, and there's an internal buffer with which it can keep the power running. Now like I said, these are like the machines from thermal expansion that allow you to transport power and energy. So there's several different tabs that we can configure this with, and I'm going to turn off NEI here so it's easier to see. So this is like the basic tab here for the configuration of some things. There's like a buffer here, whether or not it's on with redstone, how to configure the input output. You can transfer power, items, liquids, and teleport mine carts all on different and separate frequencies. So for example, if I wanted to transfer power, I could specify a frequency. We'll call it power 1, and I'll add that to the frequency list, and we'll tell it that this guy can send power on frequency named power 1. Cool. Now if we want, we can also set this guy up to do a minecart thing. So what we could do is have a send receive functionality here. So we'll do a railcart 1, we'll add that as a channel, and we'll send and receive on railcart 1. Pretty cool? Nice. So that's how we're going to set this up, and the initial configuration of the ender rail is we place it right there like that, and you can shift right click with your wrench to change the direction. So when a minecart gets teleported here, it should start shooting out in that direction. Cool. Now I should have the other ender rail somewhere probably in here. Yeah, nice. Cool. Now what I want to have is a couple different configurations here. Basically, what I want to have is 3 positions, really. I'm thinking we might want to come out here and head off this way. Well, maybe one more forward. And this is where we're going to get liquids. Okay, so liquids will show up here. And if it's not liquids, it might go here and become an item transport, maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see how I want this to go. I might also want this way for the player transport, something like that. Because I want this to be kind of close to that liquid setup over there. Maybe we'll have items over here. I don't know, I'll come up with something good. Yeah, maybe the player rail will be over here. So to get this to work, what I'd like to have is a track type that I can get on and go. And I want to have it teleport me over to the base. So I'm going to set up the player one first so that I can get back and forth to this location pretty easily. So let's get that going. So in order for this to work, we're going to need another type of track. And the one in particular that I want is this guy called the locking track. It will stop and hold carts, and there's a bunch of different modes we can apply. What we do also need, though, is an advanced rail, which is gold, redstone, and some of the existing rails that we've got. So let's get that cooked up, and then we can make this cool track. And things have changed a little bit, so if you guys are familiar with the way railcraft worked in the past, things might be a little bit different for you. I'll get out these old standard rails. By the way, the rolling machine will never craft the last setup of stuff automatically. You have to click to craft it. All right, so there we go. So redstone and this guy. So now we've got the locking track, which is awesome. The locking track should allow us to lock the position of the cart. Now what's cool about this is you can right click with, I think I actually need a crowbar. I don't know if I can do this with this guy. So let's get ourselves a crowbar. They're actually pretty easy to make. Just need some iron and some red dye. So let's see if I have any red dye. I should in my flowers chest. Nice. And some iron. There we go, crowbar time. This is basically the wrench of railcraft. So what I can do is change this to boarding mode and change the direction at which the thing will send you once it's activated with a redstone. It can also do for trains, which is just a bunch of different carts all hooked together. Holding mode, lockdown mode. I'm going to change this to boarding mode, not train boarding mode. That's an important difference. You don't want train boarding mode, you just want normal boarding mode. The other thing I'm going to want is a player detector. So detectors are pretty cool. There's a bunch of different ones. We want detector player. So where would that be? There it is. So it's just a pressure plate surrounded by stone slabs. Really easy to make. Cool. So we'll get some stone slabs here. We'll get ourselves a pressure plate. And then we can make ourselves a player detector. Nice. Now the player detector is going to detect when there's a player in a cart. So check this out. We place the player detector here face up. And we will detect when players are in carts, like so. You ready? So we'll switch this guy back to boarding mode, and then all we need is a cart. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. There we go. Oh, derp. Oh, direwolf. What are you going to do? I know how to make carts, I swear. And there we go. Place that down, and when a player is detected in the cart, it will automatically send me forward. How cool is that? I think I just broke my dimensional transceiver. Whoops. That's okay. It's not a big deal. Or no, the ender rail. Where did it go? Here it is. Cool. So the player detector, very awesome. So what I will set up is whenever I decide to go out to my base, all I need to do is hop in my cart, and I'll automatically get sent there. Awesome. Okay, guys, I'm back over here by my quarry system, and as you can see, it's doing a good old job doing everything I want it to do. Hooray, stuff showing up. And what I want to set up now is kind of the opposite side of this system. So I've obviously got a bunch of junk in my inventory. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this stuff I don't need. Nothing better than just throwing stuff into a giant pit. Alright, so dimensional transceiver. We're going to configure this guy. Now remember, we set up to transmit power on the frequency power 1. If I tell it to receive power on power 1, boom, all of a sudden its internal buffer is ready to go. And its send and receive buffer is filling up as well. Nice. Now for the railcart, we're going to send and receive on railcart frequency 1. Nice. Now all I need to do is plop down my ender rail, make sure he's set up in the right direction here. I think I might need to use the crescent hammer. You know what, let's put there. There we go. And now you'll be happy. And I'm thinking it'll be a similar configuration. So we'll have it set up over to here. I made myself another one of these detectors for players. And then I just need to do this. Grab the crowbar. We will put it in boarding mode. And we're ready to go. So you ready to try this out? Let's jump in our minecart and see what happens. Ta-da! Teleported back here. Awesome. And I just went in that direction just because, like, I think it maintains your momentum. So I obviously want to have some kind of powered tracks or something. But that's pretty much, like, good to go, right? So if I plop this guy down and jump in. Nice. Look at that. So clearly I'm going to want to get off this thing before it sends me back through. But we'll manage setting that up in just a minute. Cool. I like it. So the next thing I'm going to need are a few switch motors, which are made like so. Cool. I think I'm going to need a couple more of those. Let me grab a few more slime balls, and I should have enough. So switch motors need these guys, and then they need pistons and a little bit of iron. Do I have the stuff in here to make a piston at the moment? I hope I do. Almost. What am I short on? Cobblestone. Okay, switch motor. Nice. So I've got 4 of those. I'm also going to want switch tracks, which are made like so. So this is another kind of track, and it comes courtesy of Railcraft, and it allows you to switch directions based on a redstone signal being applied to a switch motor. So for example, if I were to get myself a lever, and great, just use the last of my cobble. Come here, you. So if I were to get myself a lever, like so, and we had a switch track here, and we had a switch motor here, whenever a redstone signal is applied to the switch motor, it changes the direction that the cart's going to go in. So without a redstone signal, it'll go straight. With a redstone signal, you'll see that it's kind of angled to go towards the locking track. So how are we going to detect when we want to send a player over here? Well, we only want to send carts in there that have players on them, right? So why don't we grab another one of those player detectors? Cool idea? I thought so. So let's do this. We will grab a player detector track, which I think I need a little bit more smooth stone for, and set it up as shown. So we'll do this and this, and then we'll do this with you and you, and that should be good. I can probably put away this, 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 and this for now. My inventory is getting awfully full, as you guys can tell, but there's a lot of parts to this build, so all we want to do is place down the detector for the player, but make sure that it's rotated in such a way that the output of the redstone signal is facing the block that the switch motor will be on. Cool? So now, whenever there's a cart going across this thing, and we can try and demonstrate this like so, notice that when I'm pushing it, and you know what I'm going to do just to demonstrate this a little easier, is have a... I should probably make another type of track, but this will do. I think that'll work. If I apply a redstone signal here and set this guy to, just for demonstration purposes, boarding mode this way, and I put the cart down, notice how it goes straight, right? Now if I put the cart down and get into it, notice how it turns me to the right. Cool? Without a player in it, it should go straight. And with a player in it, it should go to the right. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, that's what I expect. Very nice. So that's what we're going to configure that with. We're going to use a similar construction to get liquids and items around. So what we want to have basically is anything with liquids going in that direction, right? So let's set that up with a liquid detector. Liquid detectors, I believe, are made with bricks. So do I have any of those handy? I do. So we just need a pressure plate and some bricks around it. Cool. And we'll have a very similar construction on this build, which we'll just say, you go here. Good, that thing's sitting there like that. We'll put the motor on it, and we'll have the switch track like that. Good deal. We might need to have these guys going like so. Okay, so any tank with liquids should wind up going, let's see, can I, yeah, that's what I want. Just want to demonstrate this, make sure it works. Cool, so liquid should go that way, non-liquid should go straight. So let's try this out. I'm going to need a couple more carts. So let's get, I need a little bit of glass. Do I have any of that handy? I do. So I think, let's see, tank carts are made with iron tank gauge. Okay, so I need some iron plates. That should be fine. Iron plates are 4 iron in a rolling machine. Pretty easy to make. Click to get it to craft. And let me sleep through the night so monsters don't show up. Then we just do something like this. So minecart plus iron tank gauge equals tank cart. While I'm at it, I want to get 2 more minecarts because one of them is going to be the chest cart that we're going to want. So for transporting items to and from. Cool. So we'll set this up. And then what we should see is the following. if you are a tank cart and we apply the redstone signal, you went straight, huh? Okay. You know what? I wonder if I have to configure this. That's right. I have to put it on star mode, which means any kind of liquid. Cool. Let's try that again. So tank went to the left, and oh, it broke it apart. Items go to the right. Cool. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, players should still go this way. Awesome. So cool. And the cart will just sit there when there's no player in it. By the way, just crafting some booster tracks to help, keep things running smoothly. I might just snag a few redstone torches to keep these lit at all times. And bat mode might be a good time for me to do this. I want to see always active, so you're ignoring a redstone signal. That's good. I'll just put 2 of them here. And we'll have a redstone signal underneath. There we go. That'll work. Cool. So I think that's a pretty good setup for getting the carts to and from. Now we're also going to obviously have to have some kind of way to get items out of the carts and get liquids into the carts, and then vice versa on the other side. But, that's okay. Now, if I am in here, this should teleport me over to the other side. Cool. So what we're going to have here is very similar to what we made back there. We want player detector and a liquid detector. So let me actually go get that, and we'll put it together on this side as well. By the way, here's a really useful track, disembarking track. We're going to set this up down here too, because I don't want to, due to lag or whatever the problem might happen, land back on here and immediately bounce back off. Remember I was having that problem just a minute or 2 ago? So let's put the disembarking track on. I'm going to right-click it so that the arrow is facing to the right, and then underground have a redstone signal applied at all times. So that, check this out. Well, actually, no, we don't want that always on, because when I jump on like this, it'll kick me off before it sends me away. So that's not good. We're probably only going to want it when I'm coming back this way. So I know what I'll do. I'll need a player detector here. So I'm going to just need another one of those. We'll face it this way and not have a redstone signal on all the time. And we'll basically say if there's a player riding it, then apply a redstone signal. So that way it's only going that way. Cool. So let's see if I have another minecart here to ride back. I'm going to have to snag one of these. And believe it or not, I think this is actually turning into a 2-part episode. But alright, let's hop in. Aw, man, I got kicked off again. That's not good. Come here, you. Okay, guys, came up with a little solution here. Repeater set to 2 ticks, running the wire up into here. Now, when I ride it towards this direction, you'll see I get kicked out. Nice. When I ride it away, I don't, because that slight 2-tick delay seems to be enough to prevent me from getting kicked out before things happen. Let's see. That should be a pretty good setup then. Alright guys, so far we're doing pretty good on this whole mining operation thing. We're getting some pretty decent amounts of materials. You can see there's plenty of stuff coming in here. What I'm going to do is a little bit of off-camera work between this episode and next, basically duplicating on this side of the cart system what I did over back at the main base. So basically we're going to want to have the switch tracks and the motors and the disembarking track and the player detector and all that good stuff is all going to be done back at the quarry instead of at the main base. So you guys don't have to see like what's basically considered repeat content, right? Like you've already seen all this setup is just going to be repeated. So I'll work on that off camera. When we come back next episode, I'm going to work on getting this minecart with a chest in it, ta-da, to be emptied out by an automated system and pumped into my auto sorting system. I'll also have this minecart with a tank in it getting filled up with rocket fuel. And then on the other side of the scene, we're going to have kind of the opposite. Dun dun dun. We're going to have the system set up so that it puts rocket fuel into this nice reinforced portable tank here with the combustion generator on top, and it'll also do a couple other things like put all the items it collects into a tank, into a chest, so we can get it back at the main base. Cool. So obviously a few little tweaks and changes that I need to get this thing working properly, but I think in the end it'll be a fun and interesting build that we'll wind up transporting liquids and items around with. Cool. So for now, Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode here. We'll be back next time, and hopefully by the end of next episode, we should have everything complete. And we should have a fully functional automated quarry, sending items back to our base and sending rocket fuel out here to power the quarry. And I might even throw a couple more combustion generators down just to speed things up. It'll use more fuel, of course, but it'll also speed up the operation so that we get more and more items more quickly. All right, guys, Direwolf20 signing off. Take it easy.